Hello YouTube, what's up? Rob here. It is Wednesday, February 12th, 2020. I'm here at the City Fam offices and I decided to go live here on YouTube today because I was having some technical difficulties with my Facebook page where I usually do my vlogs. So I'm just going to do it here today and then I'm going to download it. I'm going to put it on my Facebook business page. So sorry that I didn't give anyone notice, but anyway, I'm here. And I just want to kind of jump into it. So I want to start off by saying, hey, first off, if you're watching this, take a moment, like this video, leave me a comment below. If you aren't already subscribed, subscribe, hit the bell icon. It's something I always tell people to do, and I need to be better about that. So yeah. I want to start off also by thanking Pastor Larry Kirk over at Central Christian for having me out. This past weekend, I was there doing a talk called Let's Talk About Sex. It's complicated and went over really well. And just really thank you for having the courage to have me out. That was actually the first time I spoke in front of a church congregation, not in a church, but in front of a church, the whole church. You know, older people, couples, younger people, everything. It was really good and very good experience for me, and I'm excited to do more. I also want to give a shout out to Sarah Lee, the tour manager over in London, England. Sarah, you are killing it. I could not be doing this without you. I am very grateful that our paths crossed. I know you're truly a godsend to me. So just wanted to say thank you, and I'm excited to see you in a week. Anyway, so Nicole Richard gets into town into Baltimore this tonight, who's City Fam's executive director. I'm excited that she's coming in. You know, she's going to be in Baltimore for a week. We'll be working on some City Fam stuff before we fly out to London, and we start the tour in 1 week from today. So, going to jump right into it. I got a letter, an email from a guy recently, and he asked me a question. I'm going to actually just read you the email. He says, I struggle with sex. I want to overcome it. Most of the time I try, but I fail again and again. My partner is a Christian too, and we know sex outside of marriage is a sin, but we fail all the time. When we are close together, we start feeling it and fail. I really need help. I want to overcome it, and I want to know what is the right way to start. What should I do? And I want growth in my relationship with her too. So I said, well, first off, reaching out is a good first step, because, you know, not telling people that you're struggling is the surest way to not be able to get over it, because, you know, sin grows in the dark. That's why the devil wants to make you feel ashamed and doesn't want you to tell people, because he knows that if you tell people, you gain freedom. So I told him reaching out was a good first step. But I also said, you know, I encouraged him to want to get over it, because number one, I said, sin will block your blessings. So like, you know, God forgives you, but there are consequences, you know, to your actions. So sin will block that blessing from coming to you. And there's lots of scripture to prove this. So I said, it's good that you're wanting to get over it. I said, but if you're in love with the girl, why don't you just marry her? You know, that was my question to him. I said, but I would challenge you that if you're having sex with her, you know, you're probably not sure, because that's what sex does. It creates all these hormones, this cocktail of hormones in our body, and makes us feel like we're in love when really we're not in love. And this is how people drift into relationships with the wrong people. People drift into marriages with the wrong people because they're having sex. So what I suggested for him to do was stop having sex, put some really good boundaries in place, you know, so where they're not spending time alone with each other, and then figure out if they're really in love. And then if they become sure that they're in love, then get married and have all the sex. You know, no one is against sex. It's just a matter of, are you having it with the right person and being sure that the moment that you're sure, get married, prove it to yourself and prove it to them. That's the point. So that's what I challenged him to do. And, you know, it's not easy. You know, I'm not trying to make it sound like it's easy, because I know that it's not. I mean, again, I struggle myself, but that is the right way, you know, and that was the advice that I gave to him. And, you know, I made a short video on Monday when I came into work Monday morning, because I had, you know, confessed to something myself. You know, Sunday I had this whole great weekend, actually. Saturday and Sunday I spoke at 3 church services, and, you know, sold a bunch of books, and just was really coming off of this high. And I got home to my, you know, my place, and I was there alone, and And I guess, I don't know, like, you know, like I masturbated. I looked at pornography and I masturbated, and I confessed to it on this video because you know, I wanted to come clean. I had someone reach out to me, a friend, and they're like, well, you know, question me for, you know, for telling, and just, I guess, my motives and behind it. And I, you know, what I basically told that person was, you know, I tell because I don't ever want to feel like a hypocrite. I don't ever want someone to be like, aha, like try to be like they caught me at something that, you know, like if I'm the guy that's standing on stage, you know, telling people why it's right not to, and I mess up, you can damn sure believe that if I screw up, you're going to hear it from me, because I'm not going to be up there trying to pretend like I got it all together when I don't either. But, you know, City Fam, you know, even though it's not the abstinent group, City Fam is a group of people that are not perfect, you know, but they're trying to be better. They're trying to be, some of us are trying to be perfect. I'm trying to be perfect, you know, but I'm also being very honest with myself and other people about the fact that I'm not. And when I do screw up, I'm going to tell people, because that's what helps me get better. There's a verse in the Bible that says, confess your sins one to another that you might be healed. So I need to tell on myself. Now, I'm not suggesting that everybody tells it on social media like I do, but I'm the guy that's standing on the stage, you know? So if I'm going to stand on a stage and have this platform that God gave me and I screw up, I'm going to tell on myself. You know, I don't want to pretend like, you know, I got it all together and feel like a hypocrite, you know? So that's why I do it. Now, I'm not saying, again, that everybody else has to do that, but that's just why I do it, you know? And I'm hoping that sooner or later, by, you know, discussing it openly, that I won't struggle with it, because I'm going to continue to shine light on it, you know, until it's not an issue anymore. Yeah, I just don't want to feel like I don't want to ever feel like I'm deceiving anyone, you know? Yeah, so that's just why I struggle with it. I mean, that's why I talk about it. And I told this person, I said, if that bothers you, then just go find a church, you know, with a pastor that doesn't struggle in this way, because I'm sure they're out there, you know. But if there's a single man that's had long periods of, you know, not having sex and being single, and they haven't struggled, I'd love to talk to that person, you know, because I wonder if you know, am I always gonna have this until I get married? I don't know, you know? I'm not sure. You know, the beauty of it is Jesus died for sin, you know? So if I mess up, if I look at porn, or if I masturbate, or have a lustful thought, or any other sin, I know I can go to God and I can ask for forgiveness, and the slate is wiped clean. That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of the gospel, you know? Now, there's consequences. Again, back to what I said earlier, sin will block your blessings. So I don't want sin in my life, and I'm going to wrestle with myself, you know, as hard as possible to not have it there. And I'm also going to tell other people why they shouldn't, you know? Why I'm going to say, this is what sex does. This is what casual sex does, and how it robs you of your full potential and your blessings. Even when I'm struggling with it, I'm not going to talk about it. You know, so that's just my perspective with it all, I guess. But anyway, let's keep moving. So I wanted to talk a little bit about, you know, well, let's talk about Central. Let's talk about the event that happened this past weekend. Again, it was great. It was great in that, you know, I didn't think I would enjoy it as much as I did, actually, because I thought, you know, I spoke in churches, like I said before, but I spoke mostly to singles, you know, or maybe only singles. So this was actually, you know, older people that were married, and couples, and, you know, middle schoolers. I think the middle schoolers actually left, but my point is they really enjoyed it. And, you know, people bought books for their children, and it just was really well received. So, you know, again, like I was on a very, very much of a high coming off of that. And, I thought about it after, especially after the mistake, and I was like, the whole thing, this whole thing with Christianity is really, it's just about progress. It's not about perfection. I think too often, like, people try to pretend like they never screw up, they never mess up, and that turns a lot of people off, because now that, again, they might not talk about it as openly as me, but we all struggle, we all struggle with things. And I don't know. I feel like for me, being able to talk about it openly is therapeutic, and it's accountability for me. Like, the reason that I made the changes, in my life, from living the way that I did to now, was only for one reason. It was because of Jesus. That's it. That's the only reason that I made the change. It wasn't because all of a sudden I had this, moral compass that I never had before, or because all of a sudden I realized, I saw things in a new way or whatever. The only reason that I made the change was because I became aware that Jesus was who he said he was, and that he was coming back. That's it. That's the only reason. And the word says, if we deliberately keep on sinning after we've received the knowledge of the truth, then no sacrifice for sins is left, but only a fearful expectation of judgment and of raging fire that will consume the enemies of God. It's pretty terrifying when you think about it. So, for me, like, I just couldn't continue to go on deliberately sinning, because for selfish reasons, I'm like, I don't like what that verse just said. It makes it sound like, eternal life isn't in the picture for me. You know what I mean? If I continue to live this way. And which is really kind of crazy, because if you think about it, there's a lot of people that go to church every weekend and they're deliberately sinning in this area of their life, specifically sexually, especially in the United States. And they're just deliberately doing it. They're living with their significant other, and they're having sex, and they're just like, they don't have a problem with it, And the thing is I'm not, like, I mess up, but I'm not deliberately sinning. I'm tripping along the way to the promised land. You know what I mean? I'm walking forward, and I'm progressing, and I trip occasionally, but it ain't deliberately, I think the thing is, when you're deliberately sinning, it's like, at that point, you just kind of given up, when you're walking and you're striving, and it's hard, it's difficult, to live this life, like I compared it in that video to, like, when I did the Maryland, like, you're training, and you're doing cardio, and you're dieting, and do you occasionally eat something maybe that's not on your diet? Sometimes. Is there a consequence? Yeah. The person that cheats the least, guess what? He's going to be the person that looks the best on stage. So there's consequences, but I mean, it's not like you just stop. It's not like you just go, man, I had a bite of that pizza, I might as well just forget it now. No, you just keep going. You keep training, you keep dieting, you keep doing cardio, and you try not to take a bite of the pizza again. But the people that deliberately sin, they're just like, they just gave up, and there's no growth in that. The other verse I think about is the Bible talks about the sexually immoral do not inherit the kingdom of God. It's scary, So for me, that was why I changed. That was it. That was the only reason. And I'm working out my sin with fear and trembling, or working out my salvation with fear and trembling, just like the word says, along the way to becoming this better version of myself. And you know what? I'm getting better. I get better and better over time. But sanctification is a process, and it's a process for you too. So if you're out there watching and you're struggling, keep struggling. That's the point. I don't think we ever stop struggling. You're going to be struggling with this until, not with any one particular sin, but you're going to be struggling with sin until the day you die, and I just talk about it. I just talk about my struggles, because at least those struggles, because again, that's the platform that God gave me, and I don't want to make anyone feel like, hey, I'm human. I'm not Superman. I'm in this with you. So anyway, let's keep rolling. So What else is going on? Actually, I wanted to. I made some notes here, but I wanted to give you all this quote. This was something a friend of mine, and I was texting a buddy of mine down in Texas, Reedland Tucker, and good-looking guy, jacked, young guy, and he's a believer, and he just was encouraging me when I told him, that I was struggling in this area, and he said, warriors come home and have sex with their wives after battle. They don't jerk off while they're in warfare. And I was like, man, that is good. Like warriors come home and have sex with their wives after they've returned from battle. They don't jerk off while they're still in warfare. I was like, man, that is powerful. And it motivated me and it encouraged me. But, like it's a challenge. It's a challenge. When the period extends for as long as it has, like the first 6 years that I became a believer, I wouldn't say there was a year and a half that I went without masturbating. A year and a half. And I went from being the biggest man whore in my city to becoming abstinent for 6 years. And I did that for a year and a half, and it was just willpower, to be honest. I just really was trying to be obedient to God and did not want to sin. But like when it extends for as long as it has for me, 14 of the last 20 years, basically, that's how long I've been waiting. There was a period within that's 5 or 6 years where I just backslid, and I wouldn't say I was deliberately sinning, but I was so caught up. You might as well say I was deliberately sinning. But 14 of the last 20 years, and like for the most part, you just kind of have to forget that you have a dick. I'm sorry to be that crass and say it like that, but that really is the truth. You just kind of have to forget about it. Don't touch it, don't think about it. You just forget that you have one, and it's hard, and I think that for me, the one thing that I don't know that I know how to do is how to turn it over to God or Jesus specifically and let him deliver me from it. Because I still think that I try to do it in my own strength. And then I'll just, I'll go 3 weeks, I'll go a month, sometimes I'll go 2 months, but then something will happen. I'll get depressed, or I'll get lonely, or I'll just be like, I want to shake my fist at God because I'm mad that it's still, I'm still single, and I'll just want to do something to rebel, or I won't be able to sleep or something, and and I'll just act out. And I don't know. I'd like to believe that Jesus could take it away from me permanently. But I've never been delivered from anything that way. Everything that I've been delivered from has been through a lot of effort on my part, a lot of prayer, a lot of cooperating with God, but a lot of effort. I've never been supernaturally delivered from anything, any desire or temptation. So I don't know what that even looks like, but I don't know. A lot of good stuff is happening. And I'm going to talk about some of that in a moment. I had the event at Central. I got a book funnel that's about to launch where I'm going to be giving my book away along with my study guide, my audio book, a bunch of other bonuses for free. People just have to pay for shipping and handling, so be on the lookout for that. City Fam is growing. I got concerts and events. Home is actually back in play. There's so many good things happening. But none of the accomplishments and the accolades take away that longing for a person. Sex transmutation works. People can look at my life and it's undeniable. You can't look at all the shit that I have going on and say it doesn't work. It works, but it's hard, and that's the thing. Like, all the accomplishments don't take away the longing for the person. I still want to mate. I still want companionship. And I believe that, somebody asked me, actually it was at church this weekend, and we talked, they said, basically, I don't remember what the question was, but I talked about a payoff, I think they asked me something along the lines of, I don't remember what the question was, but what I said was, when God brings a person into my life, I'm going to have she's going to come alongside me and help me do all this incredible stuff that I've started to build. She's going to travel with me. We might write another book together. She's going to help me fulfill this purpose this calling that God's given me, this purpose on my life. She's going to be the icing on the cake. I said, you know what would have happened if he would have given me this wife 8 years ago? Not a damn thing, because there wasn't anything to happen. There was nothing going on. The thing is like, and I know that this is true. This is what I talked to a friend of mine about, a girlfriend of mine. I was like, I know as hard as the season is that I'm in, and she's in it too. She's going through the similar season. I'm like, as hard as the season is, you have to know that this is from God, that he gave you this season as a blessing because he's trying to get something done through you. So for me, like, again, I'm here at the office, I'm working, I guess it's 5:20. I'll probably be here for a couple more hours. At least I think I'm gonna leave about 8 o'clock tonight. This is what I do. I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, I work out, I come here 7:30, and I work till nighttime, working on my dreams, working on my vision, always thinking about the vision, always working on it, because I don't have a girlfriend. And I'm not chasing girls. I'm open to a girl when she comes along, when God brings a girl, but I'm not like looking, I'm not spending energy and time on that. So I've been able to move the needle forward significantly in certain areas of my life because of that. And I know that God gave me this season, as much as I don't like it sometimes, he's given it to me because it's enabled me to do the things that he wants me to do. The problem that I see is God gives people seasons like this all the time. We just don't like them. So we go, screw it, and we dip. And then we stun our growth, and we don't do the very thing that he had for us to do in that season of our life. So I know I trust him implicitly, and I know at some point he's going to bring the woman into my life, and it's going to be the icing on the cake. And I just have to make the most of this time now while I have it, because I'm not gonna exit God's will and stunt my growth and be like, because there's obviously things that he's still wanting to do through me at this time in my life, and I know what they are. I mean, the book funnel is one of them. I'm getting ready to do a membership site. I'm going to start a podcast. Like, there's all these things. And in home, I plan to try to open home maybe later this year. So there's all these things that are there, and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to work on those things as hard as possible until he brings the woman into the picture. And maybe it happens, maybe she comes in the picture and she helps me do all those things. Or maybe I'm supposed to have all those things at a certain point before. I don't know. That's up to him. I can't decide that. All I know is I'm going to do my best to stay in the center of his will and not sin in the process, even though I know I'm going to sometimes. I hope that what happened the other night, or the other night, was the last time that I ever masturbate again. I don't want to do it. Will it happen again? I hope not. But I know that sin lives within me, and I'm going to keep wrestling with it as much as possible. But again, the good news, the gospel, is that Jesus died for sin. So anyway, I'm going to change the subject. So tour starts in 1 week from today. Very excited. Going to be flying into Heathrow in London, and going to be over in that area of the world for 3 months, from February 19th to May 12th. We're going to be traveling all over the UK, all over England, all over Ireland, Scotland. We actually have someone from Italy has now reached out. I think someone from Spain reached out recently, so that we are thinking about going to those places. I'm thinking about going back to Romania for a couple weeks. I'm trying to work out details for that. So I'm excited, like, this is what it's all for, like, this is what all the discipline and the loneliness and all the, like, what is happening, confusion even, this is, now it's starting to pay off, and God's starting to reveal some really cool things and open some doors for me that I didn't even see before. So I'm excited, I'm excited to just see that part of the world. I'm a little like, that's a long time to be away from home, but I am excited. So if you're over in that part of the world, if you're in any of those places that I just mentioned, and you'd like to be part of the tour, maybe you want to come out and help us at an event, we are looking for volunteers. We're looking for people that can maybe work the merch table, someone that could hold a phone and video, or maybe even a camera person or whatever, anything that you do. If you want to come out and help us, or you have contacts at churches or media contacts, or anything that you think could be beneficial, please reach out to me. You can send an email to bookings@robbkowalski.com, or you can just drop me a message. Actually just send an email to bookings@robbkowalski. That would be the best way. If you're in any other parts of the world and you'd like to have us come to your city for the Truth About Sex Tour, that's what we're calling it, please send an email to bookings@robbkowalski, and hopefully we can work that out. Eventually I'd love to see the book translated in every language. And then, be able to do a tour in each of those places for at least a few weeks, just to kind of drum up buzz and excitement, potentially get the book on bookstore shelves. So that is something that we are, hoping to do. And then there's also a financial piece in that. So if you're, somebody reached out to me from Brazil just the other day, and they were like, well, come to Brazil. And I would love to go to Brazil, but first I would want to get the book translated into Portuguese, and then come and do a tour and hopefully get a publishing deal with a Brazilian publisher, so that people that are there can read it in their native language. So that's the idea. And then to partner with those people that bring us, so they actually make money off of the sales of the book after we go there. That's the idea. But again, this is I'm an ex-stripper, so I'm trying to work out all these details with a limited base of knowledge and experience to pull from, but we are figuring it out. So what else is going on? We did a press release today for the tour that went out. That was kind of cool. CityFam had an event last Friday at Renegade at Dave & Buster's. I want to give a shout out to Rob Segal, our newest contributing member. Hey y'all, if y'all don't know, we have contributing members for CityFam. That is pretty much how we've stayed in business. CityFam is a 501c3, a nonprofit. So if you want to support the work that we are doing, we actually have contributing memberships. You can go to cityfam.com and you can become a contributing member for anywhere from $10 up to $40 a month. And none of the money goes to me. All of it goes towards the mission. And I would greatly appreciate it. CityFam is my heart. It does a lot of good in the world. And we believe it's going to do a lot more good in the near future. So we have another Renegade in Baltimore next month, first Friday in March at Slancha Pub in Fells Point. Come out, hang out if you're in the area. If you're not in the area and you're close enough to drive in. It's a great group of people. We also have a service event, February 22nd. We're going to be fixing up an elementary school in Baltimore City, Johnston Square Elementary. You can sign up for that on the CityFam website. We're also thinking about doing a mission trip again this year. We actually did 5 mission trips every year, 5 years in a row, and the last 2 years we haven't done them. First year was because of some unrest. Last year was just we didn't have enough interest locally. So if you would be interested in doing an international mission trip with us to probably Honduras or potentially Nicaragua, send me a message. You can send a message to rob@cityfam.com, or you can post a comment here on this video and let me know, because I want to check interest and see if that's something that we should do again. I think I want to do it again. It would probably be like end of October, beginning of November, and then and then the other thing we're thinking about doing is a cruise out of Houston, Texas in January, end of January next year. If you'd be interested in going on a cruise with us, leave me a comment below. Let me know. I want to check interest for that. What else? Genuine show is coming up June 20th at the Horseshoe Casino. I'm excited about that. Getting sticking my toe back into the world of concert promotions. We did the Drew Hill show. It was successful. Now we're going to do Genuine on June 20th. I'm looking for an opener. So if you know somebody that would be a good fit for opening for Genuine in Baltimore, please shoot me a message to rob@cityfam. If you're the praying type, how you could pray for me specifically would be the tour. We're getting ready, obviously, to leave for this 3-month-long tour. Would love for you to pray about that. Just blanket prayer over that God opens doors, sends us to the right places, gives us connections with media, helps us get the word out, changes lives for the people that attend the events. Home, which I mentioned earlier, is back in the picture. The auction, the building just went up for auction, and I'm told that no one bid on it. So there's a path for us. The problem is that we just don't have the money. So home is a big piece of the puzzle for all of this to work. Home is going to be a community center, a church, a recovery center, disguised as a bar. All those things disguised as a bar. It's going to be a place that people come to, and we probably need about $200,000 to pull it off. So to not to open it totally, just to get the deposit in to open it. So there's a path for us. So if you're actually, like I said, if you're the praying type, pray that God will raise up either a donor or show us some way that we can come up with that money, because right now the owners they're motivated to sell that building, and they're willing to do owner financing, I'm told. So if we can come up with the down payment, we could get in there, and this thing that he spoke to me 17 years ago about this building, this specific building, this place, that people are going to come from all over the world to see, we have our chance to get it. And we're hoping that it's going to be later this year. So I would love everyone out there just to pray about that. Ask God to reveal the path. What is the way to get this place? And then pray for City Fam, if you would, because I'm leaving Baltimore, and Nicole, our executive director, and she's actually was the Houston chapter lead. She's leaving Houston, and we're both leaving the country. And we just really want to pray that when we come back from this 3-month tour, the City Fam is stronger than when we left. That it doesn't go the other way, and it doesn't become more disorganized or whatever. But that actually, when we come back, it's better than it was when we left. Really has to be operating like a well-oiled machine, so that when people come from different cities to see it, they see the model in action. So we really want it to be organized, and to be honest, I've gotten it as far as I can possibly get it. Now it's going to take some people that are more talented than I am to get it further ahead. So I think that's it. Like this post, leave a comment below. Again, if you haven't subscribed already, subscribe and hit the bell icon. Appreciate you all. See you next week.